السلام عليكم، حياكم الله، يا مرحبا وسهلا في بودكاستنا الجديد هذا الثاني. أنا وميشيل معايا عشان نتكلم عن اليوم أنا باقولها بالعربي لأنه متحمس هذه، لأني تكلمت يعني أنا وواحد من الزملاء والزميلات هذاك اليوم عن نفس الموضوع، وكيف إنه إحنا إن الMPS والmeasurement حقة المقياس حق الMPS قاعد يعني ينقاس بالطريقة الغلط، ويعطينا عشان كذا outcome غلط، ويعطينا مخرجات غلط. Thank you, Michael. I was just saying that this is a subject that is very close to my heart, honestly, and I was discussing this with two of my colleagues and friends. I think so last week, saying that how, and it was through one of the my colleagues, and he was saying, Waleed, I have noticed that, and he's a consultant in multiple organizations. He said, I noticed that a lot of NPS reports are coming to me, but it's not giving the right impression. It's measured wrong. They're measuring the wrong question. So every wrong has its own legacy. So so yeah, this is I think so a challenge that I could see that it's happening here. And the good thing that we're going to discuss it now.
Actually, I really look forward talking with you about a number almost everyone in the room reports and almost nobody trusts, which is the NPS. The claim we want to prove, I think, is very simple. NPS is not useless, right? Because there is a lot of buzz going out there that NPS is bad and it's not great, but I still love it. It is measuring the wrong thing for sure. And worst, most companies stop at the number instead of using it. So that is the thing I really look forward to in working with you on in the next 30 minutes to make that come alive.
So I love this slide. I love this word. Everyone reports a score. This is a big issue that I see, and as I told you, it was a discussion in multiple conferences that, and especially, you know why, and what pains me, it's deliberately used by marketing. Marketing are utilizing this by right and left, that we have the right score, but honestly, they're fractured. This is what I see. And if they are not fractures, an example, in the retail business here in Saudi, we have Ministry of Commerce are now, they have targets. They measure on a quarterly basis the complaints and the NPSs and all of that, and they announce it and say, if you're a retail company or you're in a automotive sector, this is your measurement, this is the satisfaction, this is the number of complaints, who are doing the best and who are. So the movement, unfortunately, as much as it's pushing for that as a regulation, I was hoping honestly that these investors and these owners of these companies that to have that belief. But as they say, you cannot win them all. And this is something. So on paper, you could see CX is doing good. But the trouble that starts is that when you ask what this number telling you, is it really giving you this number? Let's say 8, 9, 7, 6, 4, or what is the story behind it? So today we're going to talk about that story. A customer gives you 9, then 11 returns. That's a big issue. The score said he's fine, that this customer is fine. The behavior said otherwise. Behavior, it means that he behaved in a different way. So how can we get the truth about this? How can we reach to that? So I'm giving you to my dear friend. So show us the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Waleed. Thank you. There is a name for what you just described, and we call it the satisfaction trap. And it is worth slowing down because 3 different kinds of metrics are hiding inside it. So on the one hand, you have your satisfaction score, your NPS, which is a perception metric. It measures the memory of the last visit or the last contact. Whether a customer actually comes back is an outcome metric, a forward-looking bet. And underneath both of them sits the operational reality, the wait times, the follow-ups, the handoffs, the circumstances that actually move the other two. Now, the trap is that companies manage the perception number while the outcome quietly slides. And that is also what you described, Waleed, because nobody is watching the operations that connect them. A satisfaction score measures memory, right? Repurchase is the bet, and one does not guarantee the other. Hold on to these three words: operational, perception, and outcome. Alan Tice, who teaches our monetizing the experience program, puts his finger on the exact flaw. NPS asks, would you recommend us? But there is a world of difference between would and will. A high score is an intention. It is a good mood on a Tuesday. It is not me actually going to my brother-in-law and telling him to buy from you. Intention only becomes a recommendation if you do something to cause it. So a high NPS is a hope. It is not yet a single real of new business. And I think that that is worth something that you all also talked a lot about, Waleed. It is, we need to do something else other than just reporting an NPS number. We need to do something to make it a reality.
True. You know, the difference between the first two words, it's very clear, is that would or will. Will is, if we take will, is that there is a will behind it, that there is something that relates to your memory, relates to your passion. Just a word in the language or any language will make a huge difference.
Yeah. Later on, I will also show you what you can actually do with that nuance, and you will see that there is a big difference in the outcomes. Now, so if the number is not the point, what is it? Now, to answer that, we have to be honest about what customer experience actually is, and then use what NPS gives us instead of just reporting it. So here is the honest definition, and it's simpler than people make it. Customer experience is not a feeling. It is value you create for the customer and value you capture for the business. And here is the statistic that should worry you, right? 3 of 4 customer experience programs have no workable business case at all. They create value for the customer and never capture it for the business. Do that, and eventually the program gets cut. I can assure you that. A score does not save you from that. Capturing value does and will. Right, and this is I'm also convinced that this is something that you see in the business as well, and throughout the kingdom as well, Waleed. Scores don't save people. Demonstrating value does.
100% is that you could see it in a lot of initiatives that, especially government sectors who are moving very fast here in Saudi. They go ahead and think that this initiative will do very powerfully an impact from a value perspective to the customer, but from a business perspective, it's very far. So it doesn't continue. And especially in the government sectors that we see that there is a return on investment in it. So really that, we hope that this will help them understand this and can relate to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, remember those 3 same words that I said before. Now as a system, the experience chain. The operational reality shapes the perception, and the perception shapes the outcome. You cannot fix perception by staring at it. You steer the operations and the outcome follows. And the one rule holds: never report a perception number on its own. Alone, it's a mood. Besides an operational metric, an outcome metric, it becomes a story. Which is the real shift for today. Stop managing the score and start measuring what it is supposed to turn into: money, reals. NPS used properly hands you already the map. Ching ching. Now, let me anchor this in a company you all know, Booking.com. Booking runs around 1,000 experiments a week, and almost nothing ships on opinion. Every single change is judged on one question: did it move what customers actually do? Real bookings, not what they say on a survey. That is, measure what becomes money, ching ching, as a culture, right? So every change is judged on one question: did it move what a customer does? Real bookings, what they say on a customer. And When they came to CXM Academy, they did not want a one-off course. We turned customer journey training into a transformation that puts the method to work. So Booking.com is our client. And when they came to us, they said, we just don't want a one-off course. We want something, we want you to turn it into something that people actually use. They wanted it to stick. So we turned customer journey training into a 3-month transformation that put the method to work, and keep them in mind because we come back to them at the very end. Now, what we did is something that Waleed already talked about very fondly. It is training is a moment. And what we do is not just a training. It is not just an intervention. It is something that encompasses real change. Yes, we do train. Of course, we train staff and we train everybody in the organization. But what makes us successful is that we influence the entire system, the entire company, to really make a change. And that means that we nudge people before we actually do the training. We already warm them up with messages that already puts them into a learning state, that already makes them reflect on things. And even after the training has been completed, we give them nudges. We stimulate them to put what they've learned into practice. For some, we do that through Teams. For some, we do that through WhatsApp or emails. It depends on what mode of communication your company is used to. But that is actually the core of what we're doing. We're not just training, we're helping you to become more successful. So every real a customer experience creates or destroys shows up in one of 3 places: either revenue, which could be referrals, bigger baskets, a retention premium, those things; costs, fewer complaints, less rework, a lower cost to serve; and lifetime value, the same customer worth more over the years because he stays longer, because they buy more. Now, here's a test for you for your own dashboard. If you cannot point your CX real in revenue, in cost, or in lifetime value, then you are not measuring customer experience. You're measuring a mood or a short-term opinion. And as my friend Waleed already said so eloquently, if you don't measure the money, you will actually lose the long game.
100%. This is, yani, I think so. This message is not just for the CX. I'm talking to the CEOs. I'm talking to the board of members. I'm talking to the chairman. I'm talking to the investor. This is the language that they care about. This is the language they really want to see. I remember it when I was one of the retail companies that I was working with. So that the CEO was an understanding person and all of that. I did the presentation that how we are going to do the transformation in this retail company from the usual customer service to a customer experience and digitalizing it from A to Z. The journey mapping, customer center, omni-channel, and all of that. So that's a big investment. You're talking about, honestly, I'm talking about not less than 6-7 million reals from consultants to developments and all of that. And you're talking about 5-year plan. So when is he going to see the money? Not less than 2 years. At least he will start seeing that there is a difference. So we needed to play it smart to see the quick wins and the long-term wins. So immediately when I was talking to him and he said, Waleed, you're asking 6-7 million and you're telling me our customer is happy? I don't care, honestly. I don't care. I'm paying you 7 million reals. I need to see when this money comes back and how will it come back and where can I see it? I sat and the CEO said, you're right. Waleed, close the presentation and talk simply how we're going to do it. I said, we're going to do it that you will see it in one very, very clear one. Less complaints, because this was one of the biggest pain areas for that retail company, because that time Ministry of Commerce gave us 10,000 complaints which were pending for 3 years because we just took a new retailer. So it was a new retailer, and immediately Minister of Commerce said, fix it in 3 months. So I said, you see these complaints, you will not see it anymore. It will be fixed. You will be see referrals, you will see customers. Said, okay, Waleed, go ahead. Immediately. He said, go ahead, fix this for me. I don't want a headache. I want Minister of Commerce to be happy. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story, Waleed, and it highlights the importance of doing the job right. Sometimes we need to be reminded of those things. Now, let me quickly remind everyone what NPS actually is, so nobody is lost. You ask one question: how likely are you to recommend us? Everyone answers from 0 to 10. 9 and 10 are your promoters. 7 and 8 are passives. 0 to 6 are detractors. And the headline score is simply the percentage of promoters minus the percentage of detractors. But that ratio is the byproduct. The three groups underneath it are three different pots of money. And I keep on telling this, NPS, or customer experience, in the end is about doing good for our company and doing right by our customers. Now, let us put real numbers on those groups. This is net promoter economics. So what we did is we didn't only ask customers, will you recommend us? Would you recommend us, right? We also asked them, did you actually give us a positive recommendation in the last 12 months? And in this example, which comes from the credit card industry, 53% of them said, yes, we actually did a positive recommendation in the last 12 months, right? So next question that we asked was, all right, so you did recommend us. How often did you do that in the last 12 months? And on average, they said, well, we recommended you in three cases in the last 12 months. All right, fair enough. And then we actually tracked how many new customers came per recommendation. So if we had 100 recommendations, there were 40 new customers coming out of that. And that is the way we just tracked with the CRM data to see what actually happened, right? So you could say that with every promoter, if you make that calculation, you get a new customer per promoter, 0.2 new customers per promoter. So you need 5 promoters, and in that case, you will have 1 new customer, which is a big number, right? And of course, we did the same thing for detractors. We asked them the same questions. Did you give us a negative recommendation in the last 12 months? And 17% said, yes, actually, I did negatively recommended you to friends, family, and relatives. All right. If you did that, how often did it happen? And it said, on average, 4.6 times, right? So almost five times. Then we tracked also from all those people they influenced negatively, how many actually did not become a customer. And in 50% of the cases, that potential new customer actually didn't become a new customer. So if you make that calculation again, you will see that one detractor prevents 0.4 new customers from becoming a customer. And that is a serious effect, of course. And you can do that in your organization as well. You need to ask new questions. You need to ask additional questions, but you can actually make that business case for yourself. And I make it even a sweeter deal. Let's make that turn that into money. The example that I'm giving here is in euro, but you can also do it, of course, in any other currency, right? So if you know how many customers you have per promoter, which in this case is 0.2, right, from the previous slide, and we know that the average revenue that we got from a new customer was 15,000 euro, right? If you multiply them, 0.2 multiplied by 15,610, you get a recommendation value per promoter. So all of a sudden, you don't have just a score, but you actually can say that if we have 1 promoter, then it will bring us 3,574 euro. And all of a sudden, that abstract number becomes something that is really tangible. You can really feel it. Same thing for detractors. Remember that we had 0.4 lost customers per detractor. Multiply it with the 15,000 euro, and all of a sudden you get a negative recommendation value per detractor. And again, you make the abstract and you turn it into something that is really tangible. And this, Waleed, and I'm sure that this resonates with you as well when you present it to a boardroom or a CX director or even somebody in operations or even on a factory floor. If you make that calculation with real numbers for your customer, then you know that you have eyeballs, right?
100%. And if I may, يعني also يعني say a human nature thing that people talk negatively more than they talk positively. This is usual. So يعني so how can we really ensure that people will talk about you positively always? Is that you need to make it an amazing moment for them. I need that you understand it. Sometimes, when they come to me and say, I want the best extreme CX, look, it's not the best extreme. Just know your customer, give them what they need, and you will see this positive number, which is the 3,000.5 euros. Yani, so it's not a small number, just for one. It's a big number, and it doubles by loss. That's something amazing. So yes, I'm sure that يعني if يعني as we are saying a CO, and even that when a CX can present this and show this and knows how this يعني how can he present it and how can he understand it and get it, that will make his life much easier. Instead of they will ask him why, because I don't see an improvement, they will say, thank you, Waleed, go ahead.
Yeah, true. And this is something that we teach in the academy as well, right? It's something so powerful. I see eyeballs going open every single time this slide comes through. So let us work the three groups, right? Let's start with your promoters, because calculating the money is just one part of the job, right? Then you actually need a plan on how can we actually do something with that. And I just want to highlight the myth of the proactive promoter. But because I want to kill that myth. Your happiest customers will not go and buy more from you on their own. Even your biggest fans are very busy people. They will not sit and study your catalog. The fix is not being pushy, it is being helpful. This is an opportunity map showing which products each promoter segment has not bought yet. This turns goodwill into revenue. This is a very simple thing that you can do as of tomorrow, right? Promoters are not a score to celebrate. They are sales conversations you've not had yet. So this is one of the things I want to highlight here as well. Be proactive with your promoters and really have that conversation with them. The middle group, your passives, for me, are the most dangerous ones, precisely because they are the quietest. They are satisfied, but not loyal. They're halfway out of the door. They will not complain. They will not praise you. And one day they are simply gone, usually to whoever called them first. On a scorecard, they look harmless. In the P&L, they are your biggest leak. Now, what I very often do is to see those customers properly, you put them on two axes. One is how much they prefer your brand, which is the brand preference, right? And the other is how much they prefer your product. So you can have a very strong brand, right? From a marketing perspective, that is like Apple has a fantastic brand, McDonald's and all these big brands, they have very strong brand storytelling, and you can feel an emotional connection to that. That is one axis. On the other axis, you have product preference. They could still have a very fantastic product, so or they could have a very bad one. Right? Now, if you combine those two, product preference, a technically superior product, or a brand preference, a brand that I align with very well, if you have them both on the other end of things, so a very strong brand and a very strong product, you will get promoters, right? It is something that resonates with your audience, so obviously you get promoters. On the other side of the spectrum, if you have a very bad, low brand preference and a very bad product, then you will get detractors. That is also sensible, right? And these are the ones that we understand really, really well. And then, of course, it could be that your product is a little bit less innovative or high end, or it could be that your brand is not as strong, but you still have a very good product. And then you get these repeat buyers, right? They're not promoters, not necessarily. They are probably promoting your brand, but they are more or less repeating their purchases over and over again. But still, there is something going wrong. either on the brand side or on the product side. On the other side of that spectrum, you also have the people who are actively shopping. These are not necessarily the zeros and the ones and the twos in your NPS, but they are like the 5 and the 6s, the people who are, actively shopping. They are not super dissatisfied, but they still are dissatisfied, either with your brand, either with your product. And then you have this layer in the middle, and that is the opportunists. And these are the ones that you can see very, very often. Because that is very often when we talk about people who we want to work on, we focus on the repeat buyers, right? The people who are promoters or just below that. But in all honesty, the people who we consider passives, they're not repeat buyers. They are the opportunists. They are the ones who are actually open for other offers. And these are the ones I will always tell, these are the ones that are high at risk, right? So what I always say is that the whole job is movement. You have to deliberately move customers up and to the right, either through a stronger brand reference or a stronger product preference, right? Before a competitor moves them to the other way. And that is what it means to manage the three groups instead of just counting them.
I'm 100% has seen it, but not until now. I felt that people understood it, honestly. Yani as they say, it's going under the radar and nobody's seeing why and nobody's understanding why. Because until now, it's they can see that there is something wrong and they can understand that there is something leaking, as you have said, because they are the biggest challenge that they are having. But you could see that even in their meeting, they're saying, why? Okay, they're complaining on X if they are happy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So we talked about these promoters, we talked about passives, and of course we have detractors as well. And I also want to say not every detractor is worth the same effort. So do not spend equally on all of them, which brings me to the other side of monetization, because it's not only about doing more. Sometimes the profit is in doing less. A bank spends heavily getting every card out as fast as possible. But customers only cared about their debit card being fast because that is the thing they use every day. For their credit card, they were happy to wait 2 weeks. So the bank relaxed, batched them, and shipped them cheaply. It was tiny per customer, but serious across all of them. For me, it's about finding the thing that customers do not value and gracefully do less of it. So yes, we obsessively focus on detractors as we should. An unhappy customer is not something that we want, but we should be more rational about it and see what is actually really going on there, what is creating value for our customer, but what is also creating value for our business. We should be much more rational about that. And I think that in the whole discussion, very often that goes to the second plan. And I think that is where we leave money on the table, to be honest. And again, so this is proven. This is not theory. Everything we are showing you, we have taught to more than 14,000 professionals around the world. And now it is here, localized, with Waleed on the ground and in Saudi Arabia. And I'm genuinely excited about that one. Really excited about it.
Yeah, no, inshallah.
So what does really listening actually look like? Let me leave you with something you can start next week, right? Real voice of customer does 4 things a score can never do on its own. First, it knows the customer, not just the transaction. And this is also something that you just mentioned here, Waleed. Second, it hears what they do not say, the silence, the hesitation, the thing they would never take on a form. Third, it acts on what it hears. And fourth, it closes the loop. Now, that's something that we discussed in the last webinar. So if you want to know more about that, absolutely go back there and have a look at it. But it is about knowing the customer, they are heard. Miss those 4, and you do not have a voice of customer program. You have a scoreboard, a very big one even, and a very expensive one, I'm sure.
100%. I have a saying that on every seminar or every training that I do, and I'm sure that you convey the same message. We have in Arabic, we have we say أنصت ولا تسمع. There is a difference between تسمع and أنصت. تسمع, it means that you are only listening, that you are only, okay, I can listen. It's like music. But if you want to really understand, يجب, you have to تنصت, which is here, and really go and concentrate. So I say to all of my colleagues and everyone, and I'm saying it again now. All of these 4 steps everyone have said it. We are saying it again, but with numbers. I'm showing you this with numbers. I'm not showing you, and I'm showing you this with the way that you could reach to it. One, يعني, Sama started in the 90s with the plan or initiative to know your customer. This started from that day. It's not because of money laundering. No, they knew that every financial sector need to know his customer, not just only for the risk of that I'm a thief or that. No, you have to know him, because if you know him, you will know how to basically sell to him. You will know how to understand him. You will know. Second, listen. And here, not listen, which is in Arabic, أنصت لا تسمع. After that, act on it. Basically, it's when you understand, act on it. And believe me, when you understand, everyone will understand. Everyone in your organization will understand, because they will believe you. Will say, oh, 1 minute, he's right. When he said that, no, he's right. That's true. When this customer, this persona comes to me, no, he likes this low color. He likes this bed. He doesn't like this way of treatment. Everything makes clearer. I 100% see that, and I really and hope that we really have that footprint very soon over there.
Yeah. Now, that is, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm going to repeat what you were going to say, Waleed. This is so true. This is absolutely so true. Now, the good news is you do not need a new survey to hear this. Right? The signal is already sitting in data you collect, and you might ignore as well. Who went quiet after a quote? Who stopped coming in for service? What people actually write in the complaint box or on Google reviews. So let's talk about Monday morning, right? What I would say, 3 moves. First, never let a perception score travel alone again. Put an operational metric and an outcome metric beside it every single time. Second, take one group of promoters and actively guide them to a second purchase. Do not wait for them. And third, pull last quarter's lost customers and call the profitable ones, because 1 in 4 may come back. None of that needs a new survey or a new budget. And that is where I always say, this is how you become profitable. And this is also where I hand it over to my dear friend, Waleed. Your NPS is not lying to you. It is just answering a much smaller question than the one your business needs answered.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the time. I hope that all of the audience who are attending and who will see it later, who are not seeing it live, that really appreciate it. Please, I'm saying it, please, if you have any, just in your mind, a question, feel free to just, not just, as they said, not just, we are more happy to support your changing anywhere, anytime and anywhere. And honestly, thank you. And I'm very excited for our third session, inshallah, that we will record soon, and hope that, and everyone, if you have an idea of you want us to talk about something that you have, that you feel that you want us to talk about, please feel free. Ask us. We are more than happy to do it, and we could do it live. We could do it one-to-one. I'm more than happy to have. I just want to say thank you in Arabic, if I please, Michel. شكرا لكم جميعا. شكرا على من حضرها لايف، شكرا من حضرها في تسجيل. أتمنى أنكم استمتعتوا، انه قدرنا نوريكي كل اللي عنده تحدي انه يوري البورد اوف ممبرز، السي اوز، وين بالضبط الفاليو حقت سي اكس. احنا بالارقام هذه تقدر توريك، تقدر تسويها. عندك أي سؤال، عندك أي رغبة، عندك شيء تحتاج إنه نقدر نساعدك فيه، أتمنى تواصل معي، تواصل مع ميشيل، تواصل مع CXM. عندكم موضوع ودنا تبونا نتكلم فيه، حاكون مرة سعيد إنه نتكلم فيه ونسمع لكم، وأتمنى إنكم كنتوا يعني استمتعتوا زي ما أنا استمتعت بحضوركم. وشكرًا لكم جميعًا، شكرًا لحضوركم ونراكم على خير، ومن طرفي السلام عليكم، وأتمنى لكم حياة سعيدة. مايكل، ميشيل.
Thank you so much. شكرا and see you around.